I'm Mary English, and I'm with Small Step Energy Solutions. We are an energy specialty company in the residential market, and I'm here today testing a house retrofitted by Prairie Design to meet as close to the passive house standards as possible for a retrofit. And they've asked me as a third party to come in and do what's called a blower door test, which is measuring the infiltration rate of the house. That's important because a house's efficiency can be very correlated with how tight or loose the house is. What I have behind me is the actual instruments that I use to measure the infiltration rate. It's called a blower door, and it's a big fan hooked up to a computer, and it's called manometer, and that measures the infiltration rate, the flow through the fan, and then in turn we run a calculation to see what the air exchange rate is of the house. I have a hose hooked up to the fan, which takes the actual cubic feet per minute, what we call CFM, at 50 pascals. That's the pressure that we're using to measure the flow. And then I have another hose that is hooked up and then goes outside. So we are actually depressurizing the house to -50 pascals in reference to outside. So this is my reference hose to outside. And then I have the manometer here is hooked up to the fan control, and then the fan control is also hooked up to the computer. So we have the computer bring up the house to -50 pascals of pressure, and then the computer takes these measurements of how much air is actually flowing through the fan. And then once the test is done, we'll take that calculation of the actual volume of air going through the fan and measure it against how much volume of air is actually in the house and get that air exchange rate. What Small Step does in part is a lot of testing to see what the infiltration rate of houses are. And that's important because how leaky your house is can impact your comfort and also the affordability. High energy bills are often a direct result of a very leaky envelope. A really tight house is fantastic because you won't feel drafty. A lot of people that say their house is just old and drafty don't realize that there are things that they can do about that. That draftiness is what's called a natural air exchange rate of the house, bringing in cold air in the winter and exhaling it out. This house has a very low exchange rate, a natural air exchange rate of about 9%, which is one of the tighter houses Small Step has ever tested in the history of 6 years that we've been in business. So this house is tight. Now that we've established how tight this house is, then Prairie Design is going to want to input some mechanical ventilation into the house to bring in fresh air. So the house will be affordable, comfortable, and healthy with a fresh air exchanger. We've accomplished. This is going to be a very efficient, comfortable home.